unlocking the shocking truth about higher dimensions. What every spiritualist must see now. In a forgotten town shrouded in mystery, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. Locals whispered about the peculiar phenomena that surged through the rusted gates of an abandoned observatory. Many swore they had glimpsed figures in the twilight, their silhouettes dancing between the worlds, a compelling lure for curious souls. The stories were told in hushed tones, stoking excitement and fear at once. This was no ordinary place. It was a secret gateway to higher dimensions, they said, where reality twisted and stretched like taffy as the sun dipped below the horizon. An eerie stillness permeated the air. Shadows elongated and merged, creating an unsettling tapestry of dark shapes that felt alive. People described hearing voices, soft and indescribably distant, calling them closer. One girl claimed she had touched the threshold, a shimmer in the air that felt like ice and fire at once. Could it be real? Were they crossing paths with beings from another realm? The thrill of it sent shivers down spine after spine, yet they couldn't help but crave more. But that wasn't all. They found strange symbols etched deep into stone every step of the way. Odd carvings that pulsed with what seemed like energy, whispering ancient secrets to those daring enough to listen. Then there were the lights, flashes of color popping in and out of existence, too vibrant to be from any earthly source. Those who ventured closer reported feeling a tightness in their chests, a pulsating heartbeat of the universe itself thrumming right beneath their fingertips. What if these were manifestations of worlds beyond comprehension? Right then, the weight of fear crystallized within each onlooker. Would they dare step further into this unknown? What lay ahead would either unravel them or transform their understanding of everything. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A chill wrapped around them, a silent agreement to plunge deeper into the mystery. As they moved forward, adrenaline surged, every heartbeat a countdown. What would they discover in the next moment? Each whisper from the shadows, each flicker of light fueled their hunger for the truth. But would it bring enlightenment or destruction? The air thickened with unanswered questions, and nothing felt certain as they crossed the threshold into the great unknown. The old observatory loomed before them, its crumbling walls entwined with vines that seemed to pulse with energy. As they stepped closer, the whispers grew louder, swirling in their minds like an incantation. One brave soul, Sarah, reached for the rusted door handle. It was cold, almost shockingly so, sending a jolt through her fingertips. "Are you sure about this?" Mark asked, his voice barely more than a tremor. The others exchanged nervous glances, but there was a determination sparking in their eyes, a shared bond that pushed them onward. With a deep breath, Sarah pulled the door open, revealing a dark abyss inside. They flicked on their flashlights. Dim beams illuminated dust dancing in the air, creating an almost ethereal glow. But what caught their eyes were the walls. They were covered in those same symbols etched into stone, now glowing faintly. "What is this?" whispered Lisa, leaning closer to examine a swirling pattern, its lines intertwining like veins. As her fingers brushed against it, a surge of energy shot through her, making her gasp. It was a connection and awakening. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the air thickened. Shadows darted around them, fleeting figures that froze them in place. A cold breeze swept through the room, carrying a deep, haunting sound that resonated like a forgotten hymn. The pulsating heartbeat from outside was now all around them, vibrating beneath their skin. "Guys, we need to get out of here," Mark yelled as panic edged into his voice. But Sarah stood resolute, her gaze fixed on an archway at the far end of the room, its outline shimmering as if it were alive. "Wait, we have to see what's in there." "Are you insane?" Mark's eyes widened. But the others were drawn to Sarah's unwavering determination. The lure was too strong, as if something beyond their comprehension was beckoning them to move forward. One by one, they stepped toward the archway, hearts pounding, doubts fading. It loomed larger and more mesmerizing, radiating a warmth that contrasted with the cold air surrounding them. Just as they reached it, the ground trembled beneath their feet, sending a reverberating shockwave through the very walls. Her heart racing, Sarah plunged into the archway first. The world shifted, colors swirling violently, transforming her surroundings. She found herself in a vibrant landscape, one where reality itself seemed fluid, a kaleidoscope of impossible hues and shifting shapes. Voices echoed around her, echoing words she could not understand but somehow felt familiar. She was no longer just in another place. She was in another state of being. "Sarah!" Her friends cried, but their voices felt distant. The moment stretched, tormenting her with possibilities. She could see them trying to reach for her, but the gap between them felt like an abyss. And then, a whisper carried through the air, chilling her to the bone. "The choice is yours. Stay or return." The choice? She wasn't just in a different world. She was at a crossroads of existence. What lay in the depths of this higher dimension? Sarah felt the pull toward the unknown, but fear constricted around her heart like a vice. Would she risk everything to uncover an unimaginable truth? The landscape flickered, and everything around her began to dissolve, pulling her back to the others. "Sarah, don't go." Mark's voice broke through her haze, filled with urgency. But she was already fading, the pull of the new world dragging her under. As she slammed back into the familiar chaos of the observatory, the archway shuddered behind her, sealing off the visions she had seen. Shadows twisted angrily, and the atmosphere thickened with a sense of dread. "Did you see it?" "It was beautiful," she started, but confusion mixed with terror clouded her mind. "Beautiful?" Mark shot back, his face pale. "What the hell did we just step into?" But deep within Sarah, a truth awakened, a truth that threatened to unravel everything they thought they knew. How far would they go to explore the depths of higher dimensions? Would they dare to unlock the secrets buried within? As uncertainty loomed over them like a storm cloud ready to burst, a sudden crash echoed from behind the archway they had just crossed. Something was coming, and it was hungry. The air crackled with tension as the crash echoed through the observatory. Dust cascaded from the ceiling like a rain of tiny stars fallen from an ancient sky. Fear coursed through them, twisting their insides into knots. What was that? Lisa's voice trembled. Her eyes darted around for an escape, but the door they had come through was now strangely inert, as if unwilling to yield again. Mark raised his flashlight toward the archway, its light barely penetrating the darkness beyond. Shadows swirled like spirits, each flicker igniting their collective dread. "We can't stay here," he said, taking a step back. But Sarah felt it, an insistent pull, that lure she had felt just moments before. Her heart was racing, but this time it was different. It cried for more than just the beautiful chaos she had glimpsed. It yearned for understanding. "No, wait. We can't leave yet." The words burst from her lips before she had a chance to think. "What do you mean, Sarah? You just came back from whatever that was." Mark replied, the urgency in his voice spiking. But an odd calm settled over Sarah. "I need to know," she murmured, half to herself. Before Mark could protest, the ground convulsed again beneath them. It felt like they were teetering on the edge of something monumental, something that could tip the balance of reality as they knew it. The crashing sound intensified, echoing like a war drum. With a sudden flash, part of the archway illuminated, revealing something beyond. A figure began to emerge, its shape shifting and distorting with every heartbeat. It resembled a human silhouette, but surrounded by radiant colors that ebbed and flowed like waves of light. Sarah, the spectral being, breathed, its voice a deep, resonating hum that vibrated within them. The sound wrapped around Sarah like a blanket, promising warmth amid the chilling fear. The others flinched, stumbling as the glowing figure reached for her. "Understand the truth. Choose wisely." Mark grabbed Sarah's arm, his grip tight. "Don't. It's not real. This thing is dangerous." But she shook her head, feeling that compelling energy pulsating through her veins, urging her closer. "No, it is real. It could guide us, show us what lies beyond." A flicker of doubt crossed Mark's face, mixing with stark terror and concern. "What if this is a trap? We can't trust it." Lisa, still frozen in shock, finally spoke up. "We have to make a decision." Every instinct screamed at Sarah to retreat, but with each passing moment, the figure's aura deepened, brightening the dim observatory and pulling her closer. The others' faces receded into the darkness behind her, the weight of their apprehension looming. No one has to go alone. You will all understand. The being's voice resonated again, a harmonious blend of allure and forewarning. Mind racing, Sarah stepped forward, mesmerized by the shifting colors that wrapped around her like tendrils, pulling her deeper into a web of possibility. Just as she felt the warmth curling around her, she glanced back at her friends, their expressions a mix of desperation and fear. She opened her mouth to speak, to bring them with her, but all that escaped was silence. The moment felt heavy, like the air before a storm. Then the ground vibrated violently again, and shadows surged toward them, hungry. Lisa shrieked. Breaking the spell, it was as if time had warped, returning them to the brink of danger. "Sarah, please," Mark shouted, and something inside her quaked at his plea. The being's colors intensified, flooding the room, momentarily blinding them. "Will you choose to stay in the light or remain in the shadows?" In that instant, Sarah realized the truth was more daunting than she had ever imagined. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision. Would they accept the unknown and all it held, or shrink back into their fragile, familiar world? As the walls began to tremble, a piercing scream erupted sharp and shrill. It was Lisa. Sarah turned just in time to see a dark figure right behind her, reaching out and closing in. "Choose." The being's voice roared, drowning out the chaos. Caught between the two worlds, fear and curiosity battled within her, sending her heart racing. The echoing voices beckoned her, and she had to decide. In that blinding moment, the shadows lunged, and with a chilling howl, the darkness consumed the light. And in the tumult, Sarah felt weightless, caught between reality and something profoundly dangerous. What would they decide to embrace? Would they uncover the secrets that awaited beyond the archway? Or was this a path they should never have dared to tread? The walls shook around them, and a whisper lingered in the air. The truth is often hidden in plain sight. The sound of Lisa's scream reverberated in Sarah's ears, an echo of sheer terror that snapped her from the haze of the otherworldly figure. Time seemed to stretch, the vibrations of the room amplifying the frantic rhythm of her heart. The shadows lunged forward, dark tendrils reaching out like a predatory beast. "Everyone run," Mark yelled, instinctively pulling at Sarah's arm in a desperate attempt to drag her back. But something anchored Sarah in place. The radiant being loomed over her, its colors swirling hypnotically, taunting her curiosity. "You must decide, Sarah." Its voice, a melody of chaos and tranquility, wove through her thoughts. She glanced at Mark, panic etched across his face, and then at Lisa, who was backing away from the oncoming shadows. "I can't leave," Sarah shouted, ignoring the wild pounding in her chest. "This is something important. Just give me a moment." Mark's grip tightened, but she felt pulled toward the light, the intoxicating promise of answers just within reach. "What are you waiting for?" he pleaded, eyes wide. But the urgency in his voice only galvanized her desire to step forward. The colors of the being blossomed into dazzling motifs, pouring into the space around her. It felt like warm sunlight on her skin, every heartbeat aligning with the rhythm of the universe. But then, a flicker of darkness. Lisa pointed. "Behind you." Sarah turned just in time to see a figure emerge from the shadows, malevolent and twisted, its shape flickering in the corner of her vision. Time accelerated. The room trembled violently, the walls groaning under the pressure of forces unknown. "Choose." The being's voice sliced through her, grounding her. It was then Sarah felt it, a sudden pulse of clarity amid the chaos. The entity's call was not just an invitation. It was her very essence, laying bare the choice that lay ahead. The shadows amassed, surging like a tide ready to consume everything in their path. With a deep breath, she declared, "I choose the light." The moment those words escaped her lips, a shocking blast of energy erupted from the being. It encapsulated Sarah, surging through her veins like wildfire, igniting every part of her. Light exploded in every direction, pushing against the shadows that writhed like venomous serpents. The air crackled with intensity. The once ominous figures were driven back by the brilliant glow. Mark and Lisa stood frozen, their mouths slightly agape, awe hanging between them. "Sarah," Mark cried, half amazement, half fear. Get back. But Sarah was unyielding, consumed by the power of discovery that enveloped her. She felt like a conductor of light and energy, the chaos morphing into a symphony around her. She could sense the truth threading through the colors, a vibrant display of reality that stretched far beyond the familiar confines of the observatory. Yet, within this eruption of brilliance, a creeping doubt clawed at the back of her mind. What if this light wasn't just hope? What if it was the beginning of something more perilous? As the figure transformed, incandescent and beautiful, shadows still flicked through the corners of her vision, clawing hungrily at the boundaries of this sanctum. Sarah, please. Lisa's voice broke through, trembling like the ground under their feet. You have to come back. We don't even know what this vicinity is. The brilliance flickered for a moment, the spectrum of colors dimming. The shadows accidentally peeked through, sinister whispers echoing in her ears. What if you're betraying what you once knew? Swallowing thickly, she hesitated as a cold dread washed over her. Behind the dazzling figure, she glimpsed a shifting mass, dark tendrils that twisted and coiled, threatening to reclaim what they had lost. And then, with a deafening roar, the ground split open, sending the three of them tumbling toward the chasm of light and shadow. Hold on, Mark shouted, reaching out to grab them as they fell. And in that split second, a realization dawned on Sarah. What was the line between enlightenment and downfall? What if the light came with shadows of its own? As they plummeted, the choice remained suspended, leaving the truth tantalizingly out of reach. Would they emerge enlightened or consumed? Would she discover the secrets of the universe or bring forth a calamity unlike any other? The moment of reckoning was upon them. Would their next choice be their last? They stumbled through the chaotic divide of light and shadow, an incomprehensible whirlwind spiraling around them. Sarah felt like her insides were turned out, a kaleidoscope of emotions ready to splinter her reality. Mark, Lisa, she shouted, her voice barely carrying over the cacophony. The world tilted, unfurling like a frayed ribbon, and she grasped wildly for any sense of stability. Suddenly, they landed on a firm surface, the ground solid yet pulsating. She looked around, breathless, her eyes widening. They stood in what resembled an expansive void, vibrant threads of light hanging around them like a cosmic web. Where are we? Lisa murmured, her voice laced with both wonder and horror. In the distance, a colossal figure materialized from the darkness. Its luminescence was both inviting and terrifying, the edges soft, but the essence daunting. The shadows behind them undulated, twisting into monstrous shapes, as if alive and eager to break free. Look, Mark pointed, eyes transfixed on a shimmering orb that hovered nearby. It pulsed rhythmically, sending out waves of energy that made Sarah's skin tingle. As she stepped closer, the orb began to dissolve, revealing fragments of her own past, the laughter of her mother, the chill of autumn, leaves crunching underfoot, and the hauntingly familiar ghostly outline of her childhood home. Each moment flickered in and out like a star about to die. No, Sarah gasped, stepping back. No, what is this? It's showing us, Lisa's voice quavered. It's showing us who we are. It's trying to connect us to light and shadow, Mark finished, his eyes shifting between the orb and the monstrous figures at their backs. It's everything we've ever been. Terror clawed at Sarah's throat. But it's not just memories. What does it want from us? Behind them, the shadows writhed, growing bolder, and their whispers filled the air, dark promises, temptations of power and fear. Embrace it, they hissed, and for a brief moment, Sarah felt the seductive pull toward the darkness. Stop! We can't let them take us, Sarah cried, shaking her head to banish the unwanted thoughts. She turned toward the light, searching for something, anything that could protect them. The brilliant figure from earlier reemerged, this time standing resolute amid the swirling energies. Its voice resonated, drowning out the shadows. You must choose, once more. Choose. Mark echoed incredulously. We already chose. No, the light insisted. This is another layer of choice. The essence of balance lies within you. Will you confront your past and absorb its truths, or succumb to the allure of darkness? Sarah felt her heart drop. It wasn't just a choice between light and shadow. It was an inner struggle, her fears, joys, regrets, and hopes laid bare before her. With each pulsation of the orb, fragments of her past washed over her. What if she walked away? What if she faced it? What if we hold on to both? She whispered, lost in contemplation. Then faced the consequences. The shadows lunged forward, their sinister figures elongating and encroaching, their grips cold and fierce. A battle brewed within her. Mark and Lisa exchanged fearful looks as the orb surged closer, filling the space with a blinding light. "Sarah, we need a decision," Mark shouted as the darkness started encroaching like a tide, ready to engulf them. Taking a deep breath, her pulse racing, Sarah closed her eyes, recalling every moment that defined her. The laughter, the heartache, the love that enveloped every choice made. "Together," she said finally, her voice stronger now. "We face it together." As she opened her eyes, the energy surged, intertwining the echoes of her past with the pulsating light. But as shimmering points of hope surrounded them, the looming figure shifted in response. Then be prepared for what you'll unleash. With a final, explosive pulse, light erupted, sending Sarah and her friends toward the unfolding truth, a truth that might change everything they knew or destroy them completely. In that instant, would choice illuminate their path or shatter their souls? The shadows seemed to swirl eagerly around them, their dark whispers intensifying. But they had pressed forward, and the final reckoning was dawning. Would they emerge united or fragmented? Would they uncover the secrets binding realms, or become mere echoes consumed by the very shadows they sought to escape? The light enveloped them, brighter than anything Sarah had ever experienced. It seared her skin like the summer sun, yet she felt inexplicably warm, as if cradled by an unseen force. As the blinding brightness settled, she blinked, trying to adjust her sight. They stood now on a plateau, an ethereal landscape sprawling before them. Mountains soared with colors that painted the sky in hues of orange and violet. The ground beneath their feet shimmered with a crystalline sheen, reflecting their wide-eyed expressions. "Is this real?" Mark stammered, stepping into what looked like a flowing stream of light that wound between them. "It feels like a dream," Lisa replied, all lacing her voice as she twirled to take in the magnificent surroundings. But even in such beauty, a prickle of dread ran down Sarah's spine. "Stay focused," Sarah warned, glancing over her shoulder at the lingering shadows behind them, now diminished but eerily watching. This could be a trap. The colossal figure they'd seen before now stood tall atop a distant hill, swirling a cloak of light and shadow. Its voice was booming, yet it somehow resonated within their minds, bypassing sound entirely. "You have made your choice. Now know the truth." Suddenly, before their eyes, a path appeared, glowing lines etched into the crystalline ground leading towards the figure. Sarah's heart raced. This was not time for hesitation. They had come to FARDAS. They moved forward. Snippets of their past flickered around them, like butterflies' moments stitched together by fate. Sarah felt as if each footstep echoed with mistakes, triumphs, and the ghosts of choices left unmade. "Remember, the shadows are still near," she reminded them breathlessly, her strides growing quicker. The weight of their previous decisions bore down on her, and the shadows whispered insidiously, swaying her resolve. "Together," Mark said, his voice steady as they crossed from tranquility into the unknown. The figure loomed closer, an enigmatic form illuminated against the twinkling sky. "Welcome," it spoke, and the air crackled with energy, pulsing rhythmically as though it were alive. "You stand on the threshold of understanding beyond your comprehension." Lisa stepped forward, an eager look in her eyes. "What do you mean? What truth can't we see?" The entity regarded her for a moment, a flicker of sadness crossing its glowing visage. "The balance you seek exists not just in light and shadow, but in the dimensions beyond them. You hold the power to unlock the hidden realms, yet there are consequences." Sarah felt the ominous weight of its words. She exchanged glances with Mark and Lisa. They were all equally curious and terrified. "What kind of consequences?" she ventured, dread mingling with the thrill of discovery. "Those who do not understand the duality of existence risk losing themselves," the figure warned, its voice echoing dangerously. "Lose ourselves?" Mark echoed, his face paling. "What does that even mean?" "Your essence will unravel, trapped between dimensions, enslaved to the shadows you fear." Only the bravest may wield the light to transcend, it warned, easing the gravity of its words with a bright shimmer. A chilling silence descended. Sarah's heart raced. The thought of being lost forever carved a raw panic in her chest, paralyzing her. What if one of us can't handle it? Lisa trembled, glancing nervously at Mark. Then it may cost you all, the figure spoke gravely. Choose wisely who attempts the ascent. Fear mounted as they stood, uncertainty swirling around them like a storm. But how do we know who's ready? Mark asked, eyes wide with anxiety. Only the truth of your hearts and the strength of your bonds can guide you, the figure replied, fading momentarily. In that moment, shadows flickered back to life, stretching out their icy tendrils, swirling with a malicious intent, ready to engulf them. The light flickered, and Sarah felt the urgency rise like a tide. Stay close, she yelled, gripping their hands. We have to stay united. With a defiant scream, she broke through the cold haze, pulling Mark and Lisa along. They plunged towards the glowing path, but what awaited them at the end was still shrouded in uncertainty. As the shadows writhed in pursuit, one thought echoed through Sarah's mind. They must face whatever lay ahead, or the darkness would claim not just their bodies but their very souls. Would the truth set them free, or would they find themselves eternally lost? What lay ahead in the unseen realms, teetering on the brink of light and shadow? The path pulsed beneath their feet, a heartbeat echoing the rush of adrenaline in Sarah's veins. She squeezed Mark and Lisa's hands tightly, wishing their unity could ward off the encroaching shadows. The air crackled around them, a reminder that they were deep in the unknown, a precarious balance between the light calling them forward and the darkness looming behind. Keep moving, Sarah shouted, her voice ringing in the stillness. Each step felt heavy, like wading through thick fog. The ethereal landscape transformed around them, vibrant and soothing one moment, treacherous and dark the next. Mark stumbled. Sarah, can we really trust this place? The figure? He gasped, panic flaring in his eyes. I don't know. She shot back, fear threading through her words. But we have to trust ourselves. Trust each other. They forged ahead, the path leading them up a gentle incline. Above, the brilliant sky swirled with colors that danced like flames, flickering around the colossal figure that awaited at its summit. Its features were both majestic and terrifying, glints of light deflecting off the shadow within. With a final surge of effort, they reached the top, panting and wide-eyed, staring into the glowing presence. The figure extended its hand, and a whirlwind of sparkling energy swirled towards them. Welcome to the moment of truth, it intoned, its voice dancing over their minds, smooth and melodic. What truth? Lisa asked, almost breathless. What happens now? In this moment, you will experience a reflection of your innermost selves, the figure declared. You must confront what dwells within your fears, regrets, desires. Only then can you decide who is ready to ascend. A mist enveloped the trio, swirling tendrils wrapping around them like a cocoon. The world around them faded, replaced by vivid memories that projected into the air. Sarah felt herself pulled back, reliving her childhood, each moment cast in sharp focus the laughter, the love, but also the deep resentment she had buried. A sharp pang seized her heart as she relived arguments with her family, the fractured bonds echoing in her mind. Mark's memories flashed beside hers, filled with dreams rebooted and lost chances. She could see him standing alone on a football field, yearning for glory, haunted by the decisions that led him to this point. His face contorted in anguish, the memories pulsating with the weight of what could have been. No, he cried, hands clutching at his temples as if to ward off the pain. Focus, Sarah shouted, her breath quickening. You have to confront it. Don't let it pull you in. Lisa stood frozen, tears glistening on her cheeks, unable to look away from the images that flooded around her. They showed her fears, the fear of never being enough, of being abandoned, of darkness soaking through the light. Their hearts beat together in time with the pulsing glow that surrounded them, binding their shared vulnerabilities. Shadows danced around them, encroaching like a tide, threatening to swallow them whole. Fight back, Sarah urged, her voice breaking under the strain. We must unite our strengths. But doubts lingered like unwelcome guests, gnawing at their resolve. Could they face themselves and emerge whole? Shadows whispered sweet poison into their ears, asking them to surrender. Then, an unexpected glint caught Sarah's eye. A tiny flame ignited within Mark's memory, where hope flickered through anguish. The truth is your power. The figure's voice surged through the chaos, revitalizing them with strength. Embrace your insecurities. From those experiences, you will find clarity. With a deep breath, Sarah clenched her teeth. She could either yield to the despair holding them captive, or rise with raw honesty that shaped their very souls. Together, she screamed as she reached out for her friends. The shadows, sensing their bond, recoiled for an instant. But before the last strand of connection could solidify, the landscape trembled violently. The glowing path began to fracture, cracking like ice beneath their feet. "Hold on," Mark yelled. Darkness swirled, ready to pull them apart just as the radiant truth threatened to unfurl. An explosion of light enveloped them, pushing back the shadows and illuminating the chaotic scene around them. "Will it be enough?" Lisa murmured, uncertainty creeping back into her voice as everything trembled, the shadows once again clawing for control. That as reality blurred, Sarah knew they would have to choose to trust their deepest selves or risk being torn apart entirely. What lay ahead was still unknown. Would their truths set them free, or would they be lost to the void? Time was running out, and the shadows were ready to strike. The pulse of energy intensified, vibrating through Sarah's body as they hovered on the brink of decision. The light haloed around them, but the crackling darkness was still at their backs, waiting to envelop them. "Let us do this," Sarah shouted, finding her voice rising above the chaos. As she reached for Mark and Lisa, a wave of warmth spread through her. She could feel the shadows retreat in the face of their combined strength, but they wouldn't hold back long. The figure's voice echoed again, its words woven with urgency. "Only the truth will guide your ascent. Face it." In the heart of the radiant storm, memories cascaded and illusions shattered. Sarah's laughter morphed into echoes of anger, the joy of childhood now entwined with guilt for the times she'd been unkind. The voices of her family rang out, mixing with the shrill whispers of despair from the shadows around them. It was suffocating. "Don't listen," Mark shouted, his fists clenched. "Those voices aren't real. They can't control us." Suddenly, Lisa was pulled into the visions, her fears materializing a swirling vortex of abandonment clawing at her heart. "It's too much," she cried out. "I can't." "Yes, you can," Sarah yelled, hoarse but determined. "Remember who you are. We're stronger together." In that moment, a flicker of courage sparked in Lisa's eyes. "I want to let it win," she exclaimed, and the shadows staggered. As if recoiling from her newfound resolve, they pushed further into the storm, adrenaline coursing through them, shoving back the painful memories. Sarah thought of the warmth of friends, the embrace of family, and moments of triumph that built her spirit. Mark's dreams surged back. Those high school moments that had once defined him were now a fuel, a fire igniting his purpose. Together, they called in unison, their voices merging into a powerful chant that resonated through the distorted landscape. The force of their truths swirled within, creating a brilliant light that spiraled outward. But as the light brightened, the darkness howled, an angry beast ready to unleash its fury. The ground cracked further, fissures threatening to swallow them whole. "No, no," Sarah screamed, desperation clawing at her throat as reality began to splinter beneath them. The figure extended its hand again, this time urging them closer. "You must decide. Are you bound by your past, or ready to rise?" Trembling, Sarah felt the weight of choices pressing in. "We're ready." It was a promise, a declaration of intent, and at that moment, she felt the light meld with her. "Now," the figure commanded, and they plunged their hands together, pushing the shadows away with everything they had. The landscape erupted in a blinding radiance, an explosion of colors brighter than anything they had ever seen. The air thickened with energy, the shadows screeching in terror as they were banished. Then silence fell. The world settled around them, and the gentle hum replaced the chaos. They stood together, breathless, enveloped in a warm glow. Wide-eyed, they looked at one another. The shadows were gone, but doubts lingered like a specter. Had they truly conquered the darkness? What awaited them next? A shimmering portal flickered before them, swirling like a whirlpool of stars. "You have transcended," the figure's voice whispered, soft yet powerful. "Now, step into the next truth." At that moment, questions surged. What lay beyond the portal? Would they find solace or more challenges? Each heartbeat pulsed with the urgency of the unknown. As they grasped hands once more, they took a deep breath, steeling themselves for the journey ahead. "Are you ready?" Sarah asked, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "With you?" "Always," Mark replied, and Lisa nodded. Determination etched on her face. They stepped closer to the unknown. But in the back of Sarah's mind, a chilling realization sank in. What if the shadows they defeated only masked a far more insidious darkness yet to come? With one final glance back, they leapt into the swirling portal, the weight of their choice hanging heavy in the air, the echoes of their past fading behind them. What awaited them on the other side was still a question, and they could only hope it would lead to empowerment instead of despair. Would this new dimension unveil a truth that would solidify their unity, or would they find themselves drifting apart in an even darker abyss? The world spun and brightened. There was a moment, just a heartbeat, where everything hung in suspended silence. Then the portal engulfed them whole, and the darkness they had just escaped felt like a distant nightmare. They stumbled into a vibrant new landscape, pulsating with strange colors and surreal formations. Trees twisted like dancing flames, their leaves shimmering in shades of emerald and sapphire. The air tasted different here, tinged with sweetness and tingling against their skin like static electricity. But beneath that beauty, a heavy tension lingered, lurking like smoke in a bright room. "Where are we?" Lisa whispered, her voice barely above a breath, as if speaking too loudly might disturb the fragile fabric of this place. "I don't know," Sarah began, scanning the horizon. Her heart raced, though the rhythmic pulse faded slightly. All around, shadows danced at the edges of her vision, shapes shifting in the corners, always watchful. "Do you feel that?" Mark asked, eyes wide. "It's oppressive, almost like it's alive." Before they could answer, the ground trembled beneath their feet. An enormous figure emerged from the vibrant landscape, a being of light and shadow intertwined, with flames flickering from its shoulders. It loomed over them, an otherworldly intensity radiating from its core. "You seek truth?" Its voice boomed, reverberating through the air, making the very ground quake. "Why, yes," Sarah stammered, stepping back instinctively, feeling the energy pulsate through her body, an electric mix of fear and exhilaration. "Then prepare to confront your essence," the figure declared, extending an arm that fractured light into thousands of shimmering shards. Each fragment floated toward them, spinning wildly before settling into distinct shapes, memories, moments, choices woven together in dazzling light. "Remember," the figure warned, "each memory holds power. Some will illuminate your path, while others will reveal shadows you've yet to confront. Why can't we just move forward?" Lisa interjected, frustration bubbling in her chest. The figure simply nodded. "You cannot rise without facing the truths you've buried. Are you ready to uncover what lies beneath?" Sarah's heart thundered as the shards began to glow brighter. With each pulse, old images flooded her mind, triumphs intertwined with regrets, love muddied by loss. "No, I don't want to feel this," she cried, instinctively taking a step back. "Don't," Mark shouted, feeling her pull away. "We can't run from it. We have to embrace it." Before they could fully comprehend, the shards burst into fragments that coalesced around them, forming a whirlwind of might and panic. "What did we do?" Lisa screamed, grasping onto Mark and Sarah. An invisible force pulled at them, urging them toward the past. "We can't give in. I'm sorry." The words tumbled from Sarah's lips, choked by emotion. "I didn't mean to let my fears cloud my judgment." In that split second, it felt as if they were being ripped apart from the inside, the intense influx of memories weighing down on them, threatening to crush their spirits. Shadows, flickers of regret and anguish, emerged in the whirlwind, betrayals and failures bringing them low. Mark, however, held tightly to Sarah's hand and shouted, "Remember the light. Remember the strength we've found together." His declaration ignited a spark in their hearts. The light rose up, pushing against the darkness, summoning a force they hadn't anticipated. Suddenly, They found their voices, their fears colliding with a fierce resolve. "We will not be defined by our past," they shouted in unison, and the shards began to shift. But just as they thought they might gain some control, a figure loomed behind them. A looming darkness they had yet to see, a monstrous apparition of their fears, whispering secrets of despair that shook their convictions. "What if you fail again?" it taunted, its breath icy against their skin. "What makes you think you can succeed?" As the apparition surged toward them, Sarah felt her chest constrict in panic. Was she truly ready to face the truth amid turmoil? Was the strength they unlocked enough to overcome this malevolent force? With every ounce of will, they stood firm. Together, they pressed back against the shadows, the very ground quaking beneath their conviction. Yet doubt crept into Sarah's heart. Were these battles simply foreshadowing what lay ahead? As the darkness closed in with a suffocating roar, the realization struck like lightning. This was only the beginning. With one final push, they screamed into the storm, "We are more than our fears." But what if, deep down, that wasn't true? And with a final clash, everything exploded into a kaleidoscope of light, leaving them on the precipice of an unknown revelation, teetering between hope and despair. What awaited them in the depths of their next challenge? The light enveloped them, a brilliant pulse of energy that seemed to shred the shadows away. It felt as if the very essence of their beings was being pulled apart and woven back together, a chaotic symphony of emotion and experience. Who were they, really, without their fears? What lay beneath the surface of their hearts? The echoes faded, and they stumbled back into the vibrant realm, gasping for breath. The colossal figure was gone, but the weight of their choice hung thick in the air. Sarah grasped Mark and Lisa's hands tighter, feeling the familiar warmth against the chilling uncertainty lingering on the edges of their thoughts. "Did we succeed?" Lisa murmured, her voice trembling with a mixture of relief and disbelief. "I don't know," Mark replied, scanning their surroundings. "Everything feels different, but the shadows, they're still here, faint but watching." Glimmers of darkness lingered nearby, faint wisps that seemed to pulse with their own subtle life. It was as if the shadows remembered them, watching with an intensity that sent chills down Sarah's spine. Hearts still pounding, they moved cautiously forward. The vibrant landscape twisted around them, morphing as if responding to their emotional states, colors brightening with hope and dimming with despair. Sarah felt a growing realization settle in her chest. They had to confront the darkness that remained within them. Ignoring it wouldn't erase it. "We need to face what we've learned. Confront our truths and face the shadows one more time," she said, her voice resolute. "But what if it overwhelms us?" Lisa spoke, her eyes filled with anxiety. "Then we fight together," Mark affirmed, determination igniting his words. "We've faced this before. We know the power of our bond. Let us do it." With their minds aligned and hearts beating in tandem, they moved toward the swirling shadows. As they approached, the wisps coalesced into figures, embodiments of their insecurities, each etched with familiar pain. They looked like reflections from dark mirrors. Faces from their pasts appear, moments of loss, struggles, and questions of self-worth. Sarah felt her chest tighten. She could see herself standing with her father, arguing about her future. Lost moments, mistakes, and regrets materialized. "You'll never be enough," a voice hissed from one of the figures, echoing with the weight of expectation. "No," Sarah shouted, trembling. "I choose my own path. I am not defined by your darkness." And as she spoke, something powerful surged within her, a shared strength from Mark and Lisa pulsing through their connection. "Together," Mark thundered, defiant. "Together," Lisa echoed, her voice ringing with fierce conviction. In that united front, the edges of their figures flickered and faded. They hurled memories of kindness, laughter, and love back at the shadows, illuminating the dimness. Blinding light poured forth from their shared strength, swallowing the whispers that threatened to consume them. A shocking wave of clarity washed over Sarah. She realized they had the power to rewrite their narratives, to let the light emerge from the darkest corners. The shadows recoiled, flickering unsteadily, losing their potency. Suddenly, a bright cascade erupted around them, shattering the illusions of doubt and despair. Faces of love and support rose from within, a mother's embrace, a friend's laughter, victories shared. Embrace every part of who you are. The figure from before echoed, its voice resonating as if they were finally being acknowledged. You are not alone. And with that acknowledgement, the shadows shrank, no longer threatening but retreating into particles of fading light. Clarity settled among them, a tangible energy that coursed through their veins. They stood there, transformed not just by what they had conquered, but by the acceptance of their past and the unwavering bond they shared. As the last flicker of darkness disappeared, they were met with a new realm emerging before them, a horizon brightened with possibilities. The landscape glimmered, and colors swirled with an inviting touch. Is this really happening? Lisa whispered, a mixture of awe and disbelief bubbling within her. It is. We did this together, Sarah said, glancing at Mark and Lisa. We embraced everything that we are. This is the next step. As they stepped forward, each footfall resonated with the heartbeat of the universe. The worries and shadows they had faced faded behind them, a part of their narrative, but no longer defining. Ahead lay a world of opportunities, messages of hope whispering through the air. Then, as they paused at the edge of the vibrant landscape, Sarah felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. They had made it through the shadows. No longer just survivors, they were now architects of their own destinies. Together, she reiterated, smiling at her friends. Always, they replied in unison, hearts alight with renewed purpose and possibility. In that moment, the true essence of their journey crystallized. This was not the end, but a new beginning, a journey filled with light and shadows, truths and choices to embrace. The adventure continued, vibrant and alive, waiting for them to shape it as they stepped forward into the unknown. As they crossed into the realm of tomorrow, a single thought resonated. Could they transform every trial into a stepping stone? Only time would unveil the answers. But for now, they held on to hope with both hands, ready to begin anew. Would they find even greater truths awaiting them, or perhaps even deeper challenges? They could only move forward and see. Now, dear friends, this is the moment to connect. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive story unfolding in this universe. Smash that like button now, give the algorithm a mighty boost. And I want you to flood the comments section below with your reactions, your feelings about the conclusion. What do you think lies ahead for our heroes? Don't wait even one more second to share this incredible journey with at least 5 friends who need to feel the power of unity and truth. This community thrives on your support, so let us keep this adventure going.